Today is the first show. Tonight from the WJDC studios in beautiful Vito, Florida, we present a show that's going to take you to new heights with very important information. We hope that you will enjoy this show. This is Team P.A.W.S radio show, episode 1. And tonight, we're talking about cyberstalking in all of its glory. So let's go, because it's time to get on with the show. All right, everybody, welcome to this first show from the WJDC studios in beautiful Vito, Florida. It is Team P.A.W.S, the radio show. And we're here tonight to talk about hopefully a show that pretty much will get you informed more about the pros and cons of cyberstalking, cyberbullying, harassment, and all of the things that pretty much go with the territory. And by that I mean and say that we pretty much have a show tonight that's going to take you to new heights. And why we're doing this tonight? Because we realize that it's time to expose, it's time to pretty much tell you the facts about what's going on in the cyber world. It's something that's very important out there to get the message across. And in these 2 hours, we're going to focus on that whole broad spectrum. We're going to try to basically say, hey, look, we're tired of being bullied. We're tired of being insulted. We're tired of your shenanigans. We're pretty much just, fed up with all of the crap that a cyberstalker does. It's pretty bad, when you have, one guy or a whole group of people doing it at one time. And at the same token, you have to realize that this stuff is not going away. You cannot ignore anybody. And it gets to a point where, they say, well, we're the ones being victimized by the said people that we're targeting. No. That cannot be true, okay? No one has gone after these people. No one has ever threatened any of these individuals, okay? Where they're getting their ideas from is totally ridiculous as far as the whole thing about stalking, cyberstalking, and all that stuff. You have to realize, friends, that there are sick individuals out there. And by that I not mean they have a headache, they have a cold. No, they're mentally ill. They have issues, okay? Issues that they don't want to take care of. They don't want to solve. They think they're totally fine with the way things are. They wouldn't change for nothing. And they don't see the error of their ways. Well, on this show, the first episode, this show is going to focus on showing them the error of their ways, considering the fact that the cops don't want to do anything. Law enforcement is still brand new to this whole thing. And the United States basically needs to inflict laws to protect those who basically get harassed and bullied by these said individuals. Okay? And we'll, of course, apply what we're talking about to what's going on here with our situation. Now, on the last show of the Jason Decanio show, episode 440, I brought on 3 individuals who were cyberstalked, cyberbullied, they were harassed, they were threatened flat out. And of course, the guy who was threatening them, who's also threatening me, he flat out said, "Oh, well, you guys are liars. You have no credible evidence against me stalking you. You cannot prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm the person doing this to you." And of course, you know, you look at this guy and you say, and then he accuses me of scripting the show. Folks, yours truly does not script any of his shows. Matter of fact, the only thing that I probably have as far as it is the articles or the news and the information, giving it to you, and I'm reporting it to you and quoting who actually wrote the stuff. But when I talk to people on a particular topic, or you see me on the Queens New Yorker, it is never scripted. Okay? There is no piece of paper in front of my hands. There's no outline of the show. Okay, surely I want to get topics up, but I've got them ready to go in separate windows and so on and so forth. So, tonight's show and all of the shows that have to do with Team P.A.W.S. basically is going to pretty much reveal how we as people are fighting back against cyberstalking. Now, I am also, of course, the administrator of the Team P.A.W.S. Facebook group page, which P.A.W.S. basically stands for People Against Web Stalkers. That's right, folks. I and about 6 other people formed a group. We are together, and we are documenting. We are putting together evidence to get whoever is attacking us. We're pretty much going to put them in jail. If we can't put them in jail, we surely do want to get the message out to those who need to understand that you are not alone in your fight. And we're also sending a message out to those who do attack us. Be prepared for your fight. You know, you say you don't want to lay down, but you say at the same time you bow down for nobody. Well, we're not going to bow down to you. And you can demand for us to leave you alone. You can threaten us, whatever the case may be. But here's the thing. We ain't going down without a fight. And whether you choose to fight us in the physical form or over the computer or over the cyber world, note that we're going to continue to fight you with the truth. And we all know out there that all web stalkers, all of them, are liars. They're deniers. They have issues. Who knows what each individual has problem-wise and why they continue to do this. Psychologically, there is a problem out there. I'm not going to diagnose it, but I will get a guest on later on in this series as to why individuals of that nature go beyond when people tell them to leave them alone. Okay? Why they have a habitual obsession with people. That'll be dealt with later on in the series. Tonight, we're talking about cyberstalking. We're going to define it. We're going to put it into news articles. And then we're going to, of course, put it into our perspective of why we're being attacked as an individual group. So, again, take notes, get a pencil and paper, write it down. The websites to where the information will also be available to you as well. So you can go there and see the information for yourself. It will be cited. It will be credited to the person. There's no plagiarism in this show, and nothing has been scripted. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is talk about the news articles. And we're only here for 2 hours, friends, so we're here till 9 o'clock. Let's talk about a 12-year-old sentenced in Washington for cyberstalking her classmate. Can you believe this? This is on abcnews.go.com, July 14, 2011, and the article was written by Laura Riparbelli. And here's the article. 12-year-old Washington girl was sentenced on Wednesday to probation and community service for a cyberstalking incident in which she and another 11-year-old girl doctored a classmate's Facebook account with explicit photos and solicitations for sex. But the mother of the victim, also 12, said she had mixed feelings about the sentencing of the girls who hacked her daughter's Facebook page, and she isn't satisfied with the judge's ruling. We wrote a letter to the judge and we requested that she have no access to social media for the full term of her probation. The judge felt that it would be fine for her to be on with parental supervision, said Tara Cote of Issaquah, Washington. The 12-year-old who pleaded guilty and whose name has not been released was charged with cyberstalking and computer trespass first degree. She was sentenced to 6 months of probation and 20 hours of community service, along with mandatory adult supervision of all computer usage, according to the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Cote said she wants the tween to have cyberbullying-specific therapy. Now, both girls went online and used social media to do damage and used it as a weapon. Regular therapy will not tell you how to not abuse the internet, said Cote. The Kings County Attorney's Office did not return a call from ABC News requesting comment, and the girl issued an apology in court. She says, I just feel really bad because I know how it feels to be bullied, and it's not a good feeling, and she didn't deserve to be treated that way at all. The girl said through sniffles, according to ABC News affiliate KOMO. If the conditions of the
she now knows that she got in trouble, and now she'll learn from her mistake.
12-year-old Leslie Cody, a victim of cyberbullying, reacts to the court hearing where she listened to an apology from the girl charged with hacking her Facebook account.
I just feel really bad because I know how it feels to be bullied, and it's not a good feeling, and she didn't deserve to be treated like that at all.
The 12-year-old, a classmate of Leslie's, admitted to hacking her account. She's accused of defacing photos, posting sexually explicit messages, and sending emails to boys inviting them over to Leslie's home for sex.
If I could go back, I would change everything, and I wouldn't have even gone on to her Facebook or even thought about it.
Judge ordered her to 6 months supervised probation, 20 hours of community service, and she can only get on the computer if an adult is present. Leslie appreciated the girl's apology.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me. If you get bullied, tell someone you really trust.
Her mom is glad there are consequences for bullying and hopes what happened here sends a message.
Honestly, you need to tell somebody. It needs to stop. It needs to stop somewhere.
And another girl, an 11-year-old, was also involved in hacking Leslie's Facebook account. She's also been ordered to do community service.
There you have it. Well, here's the opinion I was going to do before I get cut off with the video that it uploaded. I was going to say that if the conditions of the sentence are met, the charges will be dismissed. An 11-year-old girl was also charged earlier this month in connection with the case in order to do community service. Now, if she completes the hours, the charges against her will also be dismissed. Well, here's my opinion on this. Okay, this girl, or this group of girls here, all right, they are truly sorry for what they've done. And fortunately, they were caught hacking, okay, and they fessed up. They manned up to the challenge, and they didn't deny the fact that they were the ones who did this to this girl, okay? They, in the courtroom, admitted they were guilty of it. They pleaded guilty to it because they knew it was wrong, okay? Why is it that individuals like these 12-year-old girls, other individuals out there, can't go out there and say, well, you know, I'm guilty of it because if I flat out did it and I know it's wrong, why am I still denying the fact that I never did it to begin with? Okay? If you've known you've done something wrong, friends, man up to the challenge and by golly gee whiz, do something about it. It'll make you more of a whole human being than what you are, because the more you continually close up, you're only hurting yourself. So, you know, in the end, this court case for 12-year-olds, of course, is for kids because that's all they pretty much focus on. But we'll get into the adult section of it later on. But I just want to let you know that these kids did not have any mental issues. But what they did was flat out wrong. Okay? And an apology was accepted. Unfortunately, there is community service for these individuals, and they can't be online unless they're adult supervised. Now, how would you like it if your internet privileges were taken away on account of your stupidity? Think about it. You've lost your internet privileges. There is no right to be on the internet. You have no right to be on the internet if you're going to do crap like this. It's like driving a car, friends. You have to earn your privilege to drive. You should earn your privilege to be on the internet. Okay? And in most countries, if you live in countries outside of the United States, you're restricted on how much internet you can actually use and where you can go and who tells you what websites you're on. You have no freedoms outside of the United States. Okay? That is the whole reason why we have laws in this country, friends. Laws are not meant to be broken and not to be abused by individuals. All right? So, again, think about that when trying your next stupid attack on somebody, knowing you could lose your internet privileges. All right, let's take a look at another article. Michigan man accused of cyberstalking 10 local females. Many victims are underage girls. By Phil Fairbanks on November 17, 2012. One by one, the young women came to the Kenmore Police Department with disturbing tales of a stranger sending them messages, some by text, some through Facebook and Twitter. His demands were clear. Communicate with me or I'll send nude pictures of you to your friends and family. An immediate threat right there. Over time, it became clear to investigators that this was no ordinary case of stalking, but the work of a savvy individual with a sophisticated knowledge of technology. The number of victims, meanwhile, started to mount, 10 at last count, all from Western New York, and many of them underage girls. Even more alarming, perhaps, the man police suspected behind it all lived more than 300 miles away in Michigan. We don't have geography as a limiting factor anymore, said Christopher M. Fioto, special agent in charge in the FBI office in Buffalo. The physical boundaries that were once a factor in stalking, they've been removed. The lack of boundaries didn't stop the FBI and local police from tracking down James S. Allen, the Detroit man now at the center of the biggest local cyberstalking case ever. Allen, who appeared in Buffalo federal court for the first time last week, faces felony charges of cyberstalking, trafficking in computer passwords, and making harassing telephone calls. 10 different people were victimized, so this was not an isolated incident. U.S. Attorney William J. Hochul Jr. said, "This is certainly the largest cyberstalking case that we've seen in this district." So, before I even go on any further, this James S. Allen guy had to go to the place where he committed the crime. That's right, friends. It didn't happen in Michigan. It happened in Buffalo, New York. So you see, if you want to cyberstalk somebody 300-400 miles away from where you live, you're going to have to go to the state to do it. To serve trial. Okay? Don't think it's possible? It is. Okay? Wherever the crime happened is where the court case has to be. It is the law, and it's always been. So this guy now, felony charges. Yeah, felony charges. Which means he probably got accused of it big time. National experts say that Allen's case is significant in terms of the number of victims and the fact that he's a stranger accused of harassing women from a state halfway across the country. Now, what's not unusual, they say, was his reliance on technology. Gone are the days when the method of harassment was the telephone or a visit to the front door. These days, it's very rare for a stalking case not to involve technology, said Michelle Garcia, who's the director of the National Stalking Research Center in Washington, D.C. Court papers depict Allen as a predator who targeted girls as young as age 14 by using internet-related technology to identify and contact them. His ultimate goal, according to investigators, was to persuade the girls through fear and intimidation to engage in Skype video chats with him. And more than one of the girls, afraid that Allen had revealing pictures, agreed to the chats, according to court papers. Authorities do not believe Allen possessed revealing pictures of the victims, but you never know. I will embarrass you, he allegedly told one victim in the text message. You do realize that your computer and phone store everything you do, right? How would you get my phone? The girl answered. Watch and learn how, Allen told her, according to court papers. How about I send to everyone within 200 miles of you? Why would you do that? The girl responded. Do you even know me? Well, that text conversation is just one of many in a federal complaint detailing Allen's alleged harassment of 10 females, most of them from Kenmore. Prosecutors say it's unclear why he targeted girls in western New York, but they think they know how a phishing web page was probably the culprit. More and more cyber criminals are using computer software and other forms of technology to phish for important personal information, including email addresses and passwords. Often it's as simple as getting a person to click on an email link or log on to a website. And in most cases, the goal is to steal money from your bank account or access your credit cards. In Allen, local prosecutors said they discovered a first, the use of phishing technology to stalk women. The Assistant U.S. Attorney Aaron J. Mango says we haven't seen this type of sophistication before. From his home in Detroit, hundreds of miles away, Allen used a phishing web page to capture the email addresses and passwords of his victims and then, through text and web messages, make threatening demands. Kind of where we're going to go with this towards the end of the program. Even worse, perhaps his success with one victim, often through Facebook, led him to others. And once he found one victim, he got gullible. It all opened him to all that friends, and he victimized all of the other people that they were friends with. Stalking experts say there's a lot to be learned from the Allen case, and chief among them is what women and other potential victims need to know about the risks of using social media, cell phones, and other forms of technology. That balance between freedom and safety is an individual thing, said Garcia to the National Stalking Resource Center. You can't say to someone, stop using Facebook. Sure, because it's, free country. Just a few years ago, the technology of choice for stalkers was a GPS device hidden inside a car or a video surveillance camera inside someone's home. Stalkers today, they're more sophisticated. Their tools can range from spyware, which tracks a person's computer use, to geotagging, which can identify the location of a web page or social media account. Allen's tactics went even further, investigators said. Court papers indicate he created several fake Facebook profiles and suggest he went so far as to hack into his victims' Facebook accounts and pose as an administrator, asking them to contact him via their webcams. Oh, Allen, you stupid skunk. You hit below the belt, don't you? And the only way to avoid those types of threats is through education and awareness, Garcia said. All Facebook users should know about their privacy settings and avoid posting important personal information. Now, friends, I'm not going to lecture you about what I just read to you. You know exactly how to protect yourself on the internet. This show is not about, how to do that. Okay, Team P.A.W.S is basically exposing James S. Allen for his stupidity, his obsession with cyberstalking. Okay? This guy now is in jail because he chose to stalk these women. Why he did it from New York, who knows? Why he picked those particular women out there in Buffalo, New York. The bottom line of this whole show, friends, is to get you to realize that there are articles out there on cyberstalking, and these stalkers are being put away for their heinous acts. And even the ones who haven't been caught yet, don't worry, your time is coming to an end soon, because sooner or later you're going to do something stupid, or say something stupid, or threaten somebody the wrong way, and you're going to get the worst beating of your life through social media when your butt is exposed, not once but 20,000 times before you realize it's too late and you will have somebody behind watching your ass. Friends, I tell you, articles like these two right here should get these cyberstalkers to wake up. And I'll tell you right now, those dum-dums who are listening out there who think that they are in the process of stalking somebody or denying the fact that they are stalking somebody, you better get it through your head. The articles tell the truth, the facts do not lie, and the credibility of the article is there. Here, and we're talking about Cyberstalking, what it's all about, the real definition, and how it can land those who choose to do this particular heinous crime in jail. We're also going to talk about the very articles, and towards the end of our program, we're also going to incorporate it into how our Team P.A.W.S is being insulted, lied, and pretty much they say we are the stalkers as far as the stalkers themselves are concerned. So, that's toward the end of the program. Right now, we're going to go ahead and look at the information from probably what I like to call the greatest encyclopedia out there on the web, the Wikipedia. Okay? So, cyberstalking, according to the Wikipedia, is the use of the internet or other electronic means to stalk or harass an individual, a group, or an organization. It may include false accusations, defamation, slander, and libel. And it may also include monitoring identity theft, threats, vandalism, solicitation for sex, or gathering information that may be used to threaten or harass. Cyberstalking is often accompanied by real-time or offline stalking. Both are criminal offenses, and both are motivated by a desire to control, intimidate, or influence a victim. A stalker may be an online stranger or a person whom the target knows. He may be anonymous or solicit involvement of other people online who do not even know the target. Cyberstalking is a criminal offense under various state anti-stalking, slander, and harassment laws, and a conviction can result in a restraining order, probation, or criminal penalties against the assailant, including jail. Now, there have been a number of attempts by experts and legislators to define cyberstalking. It's generally understood to be the use of the internet or the other electronic means to stalk or harass an individual or a group. It's a form of cyberbullying, and the terms are often used interchangeably in the media. They both may include the false accusations, the defamation, slander, and libel. Cyberstalking may be also including what we had talked about before, above. Stalking is a continuous process consisting of a series of actions, each of which may be entirely legal in itself. Technology ethics professor Lambert Royakers defines cyberstalking as perpetuated by someone without a current relationship with the victim. About the abusive effects of cyberstalking, he writes that stalking is a form of mental assault in which the perpetrator repeatedly, unwantedly, and disruptively breaks into the life world of the victim with whom he has no relationship or no longer has, with motives that are directly or indirectly traceable to the affective sphere. Moreover, the separated acts that make up the intrusion cannot by themselves cause the mental abuse, but do, taken together, have a cumulative effect. Now, is it important to draw a distinction between cyber trolling and cyber stalking? Research has shown that actions that can be perceived to be harmless as a one-off can be considered to be trolling, whereas if it's part of a persistent campaign, then it can be considered stalking. However, it has also been shown that even if something is cyberstalking, it can still be lawful if it can be considered to be scrutinizing a public figure, such as a politician or a comedian. But cyberstalking author Alexis Moore separates cyberstalking from identity theft, which is financially motivated. Her definition, which was also used by the Republic of the Philippines in their legal description, is as follows. Cyberstalking is a technologically based attack on one person who has been targeted specifically for that attack for reasons of anger, revenge, or control. Cyberstalking can take many forms, including harassment, embarrassment and humiliation of the victim, emptying bank accounts or other economic controls such as ruining the victim's credit score, harassing family, friends, and employers to isolate the victim, and scare tactics to instill fear, and more. Cyber Angels has written about how to identify cyberstalking. They say when identifying this cyberstalking in the field, and particularly when considering whether to report it to any kind of legal authority, the following features or combination of features can be considered to characterize a true stalking situation: malice, premeditation, repetition, distress, obsession, vendetta, no legitimate purpose, personally directed, disregarded warnings to stop, harassment, and threats. And here are a number of key factors that have been identified in cyberstalking. False accusations. Many cyberstalkers try to damage the reputation of their victim and turn other people against them. They post false information about them on websites. They may set up their own websites, blogs, or user pages for this purpose. They post allegations about the victim to news groups, chat rooms, or other sites that allow public contributions, such as Wikipedia or Amazon.com. Second, the attempts to gather information about the victim. Stalkers may approach their victim's friends, their family, or work colleagues to obtain personal information. They may advertise for information on the internet or hire a private detective. Monitoring their target's online activities and attempting to trace their IP address in an effort to gather more information about their victims. Encouraging others to harass the victim. Many cyberstalkers try to involve third parties in the harassment. They may claim the victim has harmed the stalker or his or her family in some way, or may post the victim's name and telephone number in order to encourage others to join the pursuit. False victimization. The cyberstalker will claim that the victim is harassing him or her. Bachi writes that this phenomenon has been noted in a number of well-known cases. Attacks on data and equipment. They try to damage the victim's computer by sending viruses. Ordering goods and services. They order items or subscribe to magazines in the victim's name. And these often involve subscriptions to pornography, or ordering sex toys, then having them delivered to the victim's workplace. And arranging to meet. Young people face a particularly high risk of having a cyberstalker try to set up meetings between them. And those right there are a number of key factors that have been identified in cyberstalking. And this is coming from the Wikipedia. And I challenge anyone here who thinks that this is false and incomplete information. I challenge them on this show to come out and say that I'm falsely wrong for saying this. I want you listeners out there to know that what I'm saying to you right now is the freaking truth. That's right. It is the truth. Because why would I lie to you, the public, who's known me for most of the 6 years on this show? Why would it be such a bad thing for me to give you false information? No. No way. According to law enforcement technology, cyberstalking has increased exponentially with the growth of new technology and new ways to stalk victims. Disgruntled employees pose as their bosses to post explicit messages on social network sites. Spouses use GPS to track their mates' every move, and even police and prosecutors find themselves at risk as gang members and other organized criminals find out where they live, often to intimidate them into dropping a case. Now, in 2009 of January, the Bureau of Justice Statistics in the United States released a study, Stalking Victimization in the United States, which was sponsored by the Office on Violence Against Women. The report, based on supplemental data from the National Crime Victimization Survey, showed that 1 in 4 stalking victims had been cyberstalked as well, with the perpetrators using internet-based services such as email, instant messaging, GPS, or spyware. And the final report stated that approximately 1.2 million victims had stalkers who used technology to find them. The Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network in Washington, D.C. has released statistics that there are 3.4 million stalking victims each year in the United States. Of those, 1 in 4 reported experiencing cyberstalking. Think about it, friends. 1 in 4, 25%. And that number is probably growing by the rate. Who knows? According to Robin M. Kowalski, who's a social psychologist at Clemson University, cyberbullying has been shown to cause higher levels of anxiety and depression for victims than normal bullying. Kowalski states that much of this stems from the anonymity of the perpetrators, which is a common feature of cyberstalking as well. And according to a study by Kowalski, of 3,700 bullied middle school students, a quarter had been subjected to a form of harassment online. Now, there's several different types of cyberstalking, and we're going to give them to you right now, according to the Wikipedia. Stalking by strangers. And according to Joe Rushing, who's a district attorney of Franklin County, Alabama, there isn't a single definition of a cyberstalker, and they can be either strangers to the victim or have former or present relationship. Cyberstalkers come in all shapes and sizes, age and backgrounds, and they patrol websites looking for an opportunity to take advantage of people. They patrol websites looking for an opportunity to take advantage of people. Write that down, friends. Quote, unquote, that is important information. If somebody said to me, Jason, what you just read is false, then I bet you 10 to 1 that idiot is a stalker himself. Because he would know damn well that he was wrong in saying what he just said. They come in all shapes, sizes, ages, and backgrounds. It's unfortunate, though, that the only type of bullying that we seem to care about in the United States of America, friends, is the bullying against people under the age of 18. And we don't seem to think or take the seriousness enough when there are adults out there getting bullied by strangers they don't know who because of what they believe in, what they stand for, what they do with their private lives. And there are people out there who have nothing freaking better to do than to butt their nose into somebody else's business after they were told to back off. Gender-based stalking. Harassment and stalking because of gender online is common and can include rape threats and other threats of violence, as well as the posting of the victim's personal information. It is blamed for limiting victims' activities online or driving them offline entirely, thereby impeding their participation in online life and undermining their autonomy, dignity, identity, and opportunities. Now, before I even continue, I'm going to answer a question that probably 90% of you are asking yourself. Why is my voice raised? Let me tell you something, friends. I have been the victim of cyber stalking, if you didn't know it already. Okay, I am pissed off. Okay, the seriousness of these issues has to be exposed. And if anybody tells me to calm the F down, I'll tell you right now. You don't want to know me unless it's on a neutral level. But if you think you're going to say something that's falsely wrong about me, you better back it up with facts. And I've said this I don't know how many times on any of my other shows. I take information very sensitively, okay? I'm a human being, just like everybody else deserves to be a human being out there, whether they have issues or not. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is you respect us for who we are, and then you go on with your life and try to figure out why you have the problem. And stop pointing a finger at everybody saying, oh, well, you know, they're blaming me for this and they're blaming me for that. Well, man, if you're going to be a whiny little poop boy, then you deserve what's coming to you. If you don't like the attacks back on you, you stalkers out there, okay, and you don't like the fact that you have to go to trial and fess up to your stupidity and your incompetent behavior, then stop this crap. Stop it. You have a choice. Okay? I know this is a free country, but there are airheads out there who abuse their rights as individuals who live in the United States of America. They abuse it wholeheartedly because of their opinions, which really do not have any credible backup to go with. And they must realize that what they say will be debated and challenged every freaking time, folks. Okay? Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who stand by what they believe in. I totally understand that. And I totally respect that. And that's why we live in the United States, friends. We don't live in Iran and Iraq where they will kill you for everything you say. You're dead inside of 5 minutes for opening your mouth. Okay? That's why those people hate us so much. Okay? That's why the Middle East hates the Westerners. Because we have the freedom to speak from our hearts the truth that comes out of our mouth. So understand why we as Americans have a right to fight back for the things that people say against us or do to us. It's called defending your honor, defending your credibility, defending your respect. And if it means taking off an arm and a leg, losing a body part, shedding some blood, oh, the last thing we want to do is hurt people. That's the last thing on anybody's individual mind. But if it comes to that point where that individual refuses, and I mean refuses, to not respect the wishes of the individual that he or she's attacking, it comes down to that person defending every time. And I guarantee you, friends, I guarantee you 100% that the victims finally came forward, testified to the truth, that the individual stalking them did because he had a choice. That he was told to back off. He was told to stop, and he didn't stop. Now, you can call me crazy. You can call me unstable. You can call me whatever the heck you want. But I am passionate about this. I am damn passionate about this because there are individuals out there. You know, we all went to school to become smart people. We all got stupid. The problem is that we were not taught to disrespect people. We were taught to respect them for who they are, what they look like, and so on and so forth. And if there's problems out there, they need to be addressed and not just, pushed aside. That's how you make friends in this world, is by respecting people. And whether or not you choose to agree or disagree with anybody, okay. That's where debate comes in. That's a freedom that we have. A freedom to debate, a freedom to express our ideas are fine. But not everybody's going to agree with you on it. I know not everybody agrees with what I say. But don't shoot me down just because I believe in something. Don't insult my character when I choose to go in a certain direction with my life. And that's what I'm trying to address to all those who decide that cyberstalking is okay to do. No, it's not okay to do. It's like domestic violence. It's like when a husband and a wife cannot agree and they argue and the husband takes a shot at the wife, beats her up to a bloody pulp, and he thinks that's the only way to discipline his wife is to beat her to a bloody pulp and she has no rights whatsoever. Man, that went out with the times 40 years ago, friends. You want to live in the 70s again, be my guest. But I guarantee you want to beat up somebody like that to control them, you're going to get your butt handed to you when you go to jail and get raped by 20 guys. And I'll tell you right now, they don't take kindly to new inmates. Now, I may not have been in the jail system, but I know for a fact that the jails are not a fun place to be. And I don't wish anybody jail time. But unfortunately, there are people out there who deserve what's coming to them. And unfortunately, like I said before, your time's going to be up sooner or later. Cyberstalking of intimate partners is the online harassment of a current or former romantic partner. It is a form of domestic violence, and experts say its purpose is to control the victim in order to encourage social isolation and create dependency. Again, that's what we're talking about, something that happened 40 years ago and probably still happening today, even though the cases may not be as badly because women are finally coming forward and putting their husbands in jail or divorcing their husbands and say, hey, look, I'm tired of you beating me up. Let's take a look at an example of Tina Turner. There is a woman who took beating after beating after beating from Ike Turner. That son of a bitch, and all his power, controlled Tina Turner for 30 years until she had enough and beat him in the back of a limousine. And what happened? She goes on to be famous because she finally says, I don't need you anymore. And, of course, Ike Turner was arrested. Not for the fact that he beat up Tina Turner all that time, but for other things that got him in trouble. So you see, friends, that's what's going to happen to people when they finally stand up to those jerks who finally have control over their lives. And say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Profiling a stalker shows that almost always they stalk someone they know or via delusion think they know, as is the case with stalkers of celebrities or public persons, in which the stalkers feel they know the celebrity even though the celebrity does not know them. And that's a whole other ball game here, friends. This show is not meant to go and talk about how celebrities get stalked all the time. They're out in the public. My advice to those celebrities is stand up to whoever is bullying you or intimidating you, but do it in a way that tells that person, stop, or I will come after you with the harshest treatment you think you never had before. I think, unfortunately, some of these celebrities are too soft. Like they say, I just brush it off, or da-da. But then to the point where they actually get death threats, that's the worst. That's the worst. Here's a noted case in 2011. Actress Patricia Arquette, you probably know her. She quit Facebook after alleged cyberstalking. In her last post, Arquette explained that her security warned her Facebook friends to never accept friends requests from people they do not actually know. And Arquette stressed that just because people seemed to be fans did not mean they were safe. The media issued a statement that Arquette planned to communicate with fans exclusively through her Twitter account in the future. By anonymous online mobs, and this is something that this group here, the Team P.A.W.S group, is basically, we're involved with this. Web 2.0 technologies have enabled online groups of anonymous people to self-organize to target individuals with online defamation, threats of violence, and technology-based attacks. These include publishing lies, doctored photographs, threats of rape and other violence, posting sensitive personal information about victims, emailing damaging statements about victims to their employers, and manipulating search engines to make damaging material about the victim more prominent. Victims frequently respond by adopting pseudonyms or going offline entirely. Now, this is how Team P.A.W.S is being directly targeted. Okay? This is what we're dealing with, is with a group. And we'll talk about it in more detail in the next hour after the break. To continue. Experts attribute the destructive nature of anonymous online mobs to group dynamics, saying that groups with homogeneous views tend to become more extreme. The gay community, as they're probably saying, as members reinforce each other's beliefs, they fail to see themselves as individuals and lose a sense of personal responsibility for their destructive acts. And in doing so, they dehumanize their victims, becoming more aggressive when they believe they are supported by authority figures. Internet service providers and website owners are sometimes blamed for not speaking out against this type of harassment. A notable example of online mob harassment was the experience of American software developer and blogger Kathy Sierra. In 2007, a group of anonymous individuals attacked Sierra, threatening her with rape and strangulation, publishing her home address and social security number, and posting doctored photographs of her. Frightened, Sierra canceled her speaking engagements and shut down her blog, writing, "I will never feel the same. I will never be the same." And then finally you have corporate cyberstalking is when a company harasses an individual online or an individual group of individuals harasses an organization. Motives for corporate cyberstalking are ideological or include a desire for financial gain or revenge. Now, of the types, I can tell you that the guys that we're dealing with probably fit about 2 to 4 of these particular types. Now, what they're going to say is, "Oh, you don't have your facts to back it up, Jason." Well, let me tell you something, punks. If what I'm telling you is not fact, then you guys have some pretty much brain issues when it comes to incompetency, okay? The Wikipedia is not to be taken lightly, friends. This is stuff that a whole bunch of people have put together out there, okay? That means you're insulting the credibility of a bunch of anonymous people out there who chose to put this information out there so that those who were victimized, including myself and those in my group and my crew, can know what to look out for. Okay, they didn't put this information here just for their health. And they sure as heck did not do it for the sake to be insulted. Now, I guarantee you that those who despise what I'm telling them, or telling you guys, probably are cyberstalkers. Because anybody who disagrees with me on this particular issue probably has done some cyberstalking in their time. Or thinks that what I'm saying is not the truth. Well, if I'm wrong, debate me on it. Man up, or woman up, depending on who you are, and I'll have you on the show. And I guarantee you, you're not going to be treated like the red carpet here. You're going to be asked the tough questions. If a cyberstalker wants to come on my show, call in, all right, and they want to offer the invitation, all you got to do is leave your name and your phone number. But let me tell you this. You are throwing yourself against the bus, because then if you think that after the way I treated you on this show, you want to take me to court and sue me, the judge is going to throw your shit out. And I'll tell you why. Because you have engaged in conversation with me after I told you to back off. Okay? You've blown your chances of having anything happen. And I think that's why a lot of stalkers out there probably are, they're still shooting their mouths off. But when it comes to actually being challenged, oh, no. They want to say, there he goes challenging again. There he goes debating the issues. There he is being a delusional fool. Let me tell you something. That shows you're a coward and a loser. Because you don't want to be held responsible for your actions. You don't want to be accountable for it, and we'll make you accountable for it. All right? Is focusing on people against web stalkers. We the people, we are now taking back what is rightfully ours by informing ourselves, exposing those individuals who have serious stalking problems, serious issue problems. The cyber stalkers out there, you're finally going to get a taste of your own medicine, because if you don't want to fess and man up to the fact that you're the ones doing the abuse and you're the ones out there ruining our lives, if you want to deny all those facts, then this is the show that you're not going to like very much. And I'll tell you right now, my critics out there are probably going to zap me all over the place for this. I don't care. Why? Because they know dang well, half of them, that they're wrong. They are flat out wrong. You cannot tell me that I am out of context, okay? Can't tell me that. So, like I said, I'm going to stick to my guns. I don't care if I'm on a hit list. I put my life on the line every day, friends, when I go out there and I do a job, okay? Or I do this program for you. And I hope that there are more people out there that get this show, and they understand that this is a show that's going to hit hard, friends. Okay? This will show credibility. This will show honesty. This will show truth. That we as individuals have a right to live in a peaceful world, free from the garbage that people try to say about us or threaten us to back off with. Hey, look, you know, if they want to pick a fight, go fine. You pick the fight, but you pick the fight with the wrong people. You see, I think 90% of the cyberstalkers out there are stalking the wrong individuals or the wrong people. We're going to apply those to everything that we have against those who we have. And like I said, this show is not about my cyberstalker. I wouldn't dedicate the whole show like I did on episode 440, where I brought in my three friends to tell their story. There's a lot of publicity. I want everybody to know that there are other articles out there that are vitally important to understand about the topics that we talk about. Now, on next week's show, let me tell you what's coming up. Next week, we're going to talk about libel. And libel is basically the publishing of bogus articles written by individuals who basically can never have any consent or never get any of the facts right and totally ruin those of a group or an organization or an individual, vice versa. We're going to talk about libel and how if you break the law on it, you will go to jail for it. And that's going to be next week on episode 2 of the Team P.A.W.S radio show. Now, let's take a look at a Fox News article. This is from John Brandon. It was published on June 29th, 2010. And his question is cyberstalking becoming a serious threat? Well, in the last few weeks, Christina Desmarais has lived in a state of fear. The writer, triathlon runner, and mother of 4 started a nutrition and fitness blog a few weeks ago and noticed someone kept posting nasty comments. Eventually, she started receiving hurtful emails as well. Last week, a letter came in the mail. I'm the middle-aged man in the turquoise Junker or the teen in the silver Camaro sick, or maybe even the woman in the Suburban. I wouldn't be caught running down my road again if I were you, the anonymous letter said. You can also read the full letter from the article. The last letter was a rant about us being white trash who use the system, while hardworking taxpayers foot the bill for our lavish lifestyle, says Desmarais, who originally posted public comments about the harassment but has since removed those posts and contacted local authorities. It turns out that cyberstalking laws do help protect victims traumatized by repeated communications on blogs, social networks, and abusive emails. And although the exact laws vary from state to state, said Perry Aftab, an internet privacy and security lawyer, book author, and executive director of WiredSafety.org, Aftab also advises Facebook on cyber harassment policies. Digital harassment violates a federal statute which says anonymous communication with intent to annoy is now a federal crime that carries a 2-year prison term and a pretty serious fine, she said. However, Aftab said no one has been prosecuted under that law, which was enacted in early of 2006, and in many cases local authorities are ill-equipped and reluctant to deal with cyber investigative techniques, and in a lot of cases results in nothing more than an expensive speeding ticket, she said. So the question, is cyberstalking a serious cause for concern? And for those who spend hours on the internet, it's hard to know when anonymous posters are just poking fun or making negative comments and when you are actually being stalked. Quote from Michael Kaiser, who's the executive director of the National Cybersecurity Alliance, said, cyberstalking usually involves a course of conduct more than one instance. That would cause a reasonable person fear. Email, text messages, and harassing on websites are considered stalking in a lot of instances and a sign that things are turning. So Kathleen Beatty, who's the CEO of Safety Chick Enterprises, was stalked from 1982 to 1990, 8 years. She was kidnapped and held at gunpoint in an 11-hour standoff with police until she was finally let go. She now advises ESPN anchors and celebrities on how to deal with cyberstalking. She says, stalking can take all forms. If someone is following you or fixating upon you, sending you emails, waiting to show up at your door, it falls under the same umbrella of stalking. Beatty says there is a gray area to cyberstalking, and this form of harassment could be a random hacker messing around on the internet, or could be someone watching you and wishing you harm. However, whether it's on the internet or in person, the stress and turmoil is just as real. This is stalking. It's just that the means of getting to you is through the internet, she said. And Jeff Lanza, who was an FBI special agent for 20 years and now works as a security specialist, he said the difference between a harmless internet nastygram, which seems all too common these days, and real cyberstalking is the intent to do physical harm. Interestingly, the concept of trolls who just annoy for pleasure have been around for decades, but new social networks such as Facebook are designed for more intimate connections. Now, Crystal Jones, who's a marketing professional from Columbus, Ohio, said Facebook cyberstalking became a horror story, but was resolved very quickly. She had connected with a former friend on Facebook, but then started receiving emails and wall postings from his spouse laced with foul language. She was accused of having less than noble intentions in connecting with the former friend, and Jones dealt with the issue by using the friend blocking features on Facebook. Now, Facebook allows people to control how their information is shared and who's able to contact them, said Simon Axton, who's a Facebook spokesperson. We have automated systems to detect and block suspicious or potentially dangerous behavior, such as sending many messages to non-friends in a short period of time, or friends requests that are ignored at an unusually high rate. Now, how to deal with a cyberstalker. Beatty advises to take note when an online communication seems to be taking the form of repeated abuse. She says it's important to keep a file of all communications on blogs, social networks, email, and through the post office, and retain the actual digital copy, which may contain an IP address. She advises to examine your security perimeter and determine whether you feel safe online or if you have revealed too much information about your personal life. AFTAB has coined the term good digital hygiene for a way to live securely on the web. She said not to use obvious passwords or reveal personal information, and to make use of the privacy settings on Facebook, Twitter.com, and other accounts that can hide your exact birth date and address. Lanza said it's true we live in a digital age where people will sometimes vent online and flame each other, and AFTAB agreed that we need to develop thick skin to the occasional cyber jab. However, criminals do use social engineering tactics to harass their victims, and AFTAB said a hacker might try to break into your Facebook account and post pictures or messages that get you kicked off the site. The goal is sometimes to annoy you, but some initial contacts can lead to more nefarious activity. She advises never to engage a cyberstalker in more communication, since that is often the goal. Lanza said it's true we live in a digital age where people will sometimes vent, Yeah, Lanza said our identities are wide open on the internet. Hackers can use the reverse email search to find your personal information, such as your spouse's name, using a site such as zabasearch.com. And once a criminal has your physical address and birth date, they can often steal your online identity. For Des Marias, it's not important how the cyberstalking started or how it's defined, but the goal now is to make it stop before it escalates further. It has started causing real emotional pain. She said, I worry all the time if this person is going to hurt me or do something to my family in order to hurt me. We have had to invest in a security system, which is costly. I have had to alter where I run, avoiding places that are remote. I worry that the stalker will get into our house when we sleep. The many ways someone could hurt us is endless, and I think about those possibilities every day. And that is an article from Fox News, written by John Brandon. It was published on June 29th, 2010. With about 15 minutes left before we go to another break and talk about how Team P.A.W.S is being affected by all of this cyberstalking, Commander David Penetary, who is County Sheriff's Office in Pueblo, he gives us an article. Well, not an article, but he gives us his facts put together. And this is what he's wrote. And I think it came out from way back in 1999 report. Yeah. There's some other sources that he cited from as well, too. I don't know, there's no exact date on this, but let's talk about it. It's from the crimeresearch.org/library/cyberstalking. Cyberstalking, a relatively new form of electronic crime, affects victims who are mostly invisible, and its violence is primarily what is said and not what is eventually done. So even so, too often, online harassment escalates into real-life stalking, where its victims are largely female and who occasionally become victims of homicide that started out as online, following, and badgering. Now, even if it does not get to that point, cyberstalking in and of itself can be as frightening and as real as being followed and watched in your neighborhood or in your home. So to prevent this unnecessary worry and fear among internet users, law enforcement is stepping up its efforts to educate and make people aware of this crime and its potential. Even so, not all law enforcement agencies respond aggressively to allegations of online stalking for a variety of reasons. Typical of other types of victims, the majority of cyberstalking victims do not report the incidents to law enforcement, either because they feel that a criminal offense has not yet occurred, or because they feel that law enforcement will not take them seriously. Now, in addition, most law enforcement agencies have not had the training to recognize the serious nature of cyberstalking, or on how to investigate these offenses. Unfortunately, some yet-to-be enlightened officers have recommended to victims that they either turn off their computers or that they call law enforcement again if their cyberstalkers confront or threaten them offline in person. 3 areas where an online user is vulnerable are primarily where the user interacts with others. That's live chat or internet relay chat, where users can talk live or type messages to another in real time. This makes it easy to target other people, which makes internet relay chat and the chat the most common places for cyberstalking. Usenet news groups, which is the next most common place where cyberstalkers prey because people exchange messages in a group. And, of course, email harassment usually is an outgrowth of and a continuation of initial contact in chat servers or Usenet news groups. It can take many forms, as we've already seen. And one of the most common forms of harassment is unsolicited hate mail or obscene or threatening email. A cyberstalker can also cause a lot of havoc in a chat group through flooding a target's internet chat channel to disrupt conversation. A cyberstalker can also post messages in news groups to start malicious rumors. And more complex forms of harassment include mail bombs, sending the target a devastating virus, or spamming the target with electronic junk mail. And any of these forms of cyberstalking can easily escalate into real-life stalking through threatening phone calls, property vandalism, threatening mail, or in-person physical attacks. Stalkers and victims can be any age, gender, race, socioeconomic group, educational level, occupational group, or religious group. It doesn't matter. Okay? It's not one particular type of group. It's not one type of race or creed. It's everybody. The victims can be that particular, and the stalkers. Cyberstalking shares important characteristics with offline stalking. Many stalkers, online or off, are motivated by a desire to control their victims, and the majority of cyberstalkers are men, and the majority of the victims are women, although there have been reported cases of women cyberstalking men and of same-sex cyberstalking. And since cyberstalking does not involve physical contact, some misperceive this criminal attempt as something much tamer and less threatening than physical stalking. This is not necessarily true. As the internet becomes entwined with our personal and professional lives, stalkers can take advantage of the ease of communications as well as increased access to personal information. Given the enormous amount of personal information available through the internet, a cyberstalker can easily locate private information about a potential victim with a few mouse clicks or keystrokes. Other things that pave the way for a cyberstalker are often the anonymous character of the internet and the practiced use of non-confrontational or impersonal communications. A potential stalker may be unwilling or unable to confront a victim in person or over the telephone, but he or she may have little hesitation about sending the victim harassing or threatening electronic communications. And finally, just as in physical stalking, online harassment and threats may be a prelude to physical violence or serious property damage. In that sense, they must all be taken seriously on the first report by the victim. And while stranger stalking occurs in the real world and in cyberspace, the majority of cases involving stalking by former inmates, most stalkers are men, Most victims are women. Stalkers are generally motivated by the desire to control. The difference is, while offline stalking generally requires the perpetrator and the victim to be located in the same geographic area, cyberstalkers may be located across the street or across the country. Electronic communication technologies make it much easier for a cyberstalker to encourage third parties to harass or threaten a victim. For example, the cyberstalker might impersonate the victim and post inflammatory messages to bulletin boards or in chat rooms, causing viewers of that message to send threatening messages back to the victim, who they believe sent them the offending messages, and it leads to so much stress and chaos. And a stalker may post a controversial or enticing message on the board under the name, phone number, or email address of the victim, resulting in subsequent responses being sent to the victim. Each message, whether from the actual cyberstalker or others, will have the intended effect on the victim, but the cyberstalker's effort is minimal. And with an electronic buffer between him and his victim, the cyberstalker feels more comfortable in engaging than he would physically confronting his victim. And the lack of direct contact between the cyberstalker and the victim can make it difficult for law enforcement to identify, locate, and arrest the offender. Here are some incidents. In the first successful prosecution under California's new cyberstalking law, prosecutors in the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office obtained a guilty plea from a 50-year-old former security guard who used the internet to solicit the rape of a woman who rejected his romantic advances. Can you believe that? 50 years old. Rejected and chose to go and humiliate this person. He wanted to rape her. Incident number 2. The suspect terrorized his 28-year-old victim by impersonating her in various internet chat rooms and online bulletin boards, where he posted, along with her telephone number and address, messages that she fantasized about being raped. On at least 6 occasions, sometime in the middle of the night, men knocked on the woman's door saying they wanted to rape her. The former security guard pleaded guilty in April of 1999 to 1 count of stalking and 3 counts of solicitation of sexual assault. Another recent incident demonstrates how the lack of law enforcement training and expertise can frustrate cyberstalking victims. A woman complained to her local police agency that a man had posted information on the web claiming that her 9-year-old daughter was available for sex. The web posting including their home phone number with instructions to call 24 hours a day. That complaint, too, was met with quizzical looks and shrugging of shoulders. A cyberstalker's true identity can be concealed by using different internet service providers and by adopting different screen names. More experienced stalkers can use anonymous remailers that make it all but impossible to determine the true identity of the source of an email. Anonymity gives the cyberstalker a definite advantage in that, without the target knowing. He could be around the corner, in the next cubicle at work, or in another state. And the cyberstalker could be a former friend or lover, total stranger met in a chat room, or a teenager playing a practical joke. Knowing his or her victims are unable to identify the source of the harassment or threats makes the cyberstalker bolder, encouraging him or her to continue the harassment. And this makes many perpetrators more willing to continue pursuing the victim, not only at work, but at home, with all the information in the world about the target. Numerous websites provide personal information, including unlisted telephone numbers and detailed driving directions to a home or office. For a fee, other websites will provide social security numbers, financial data, and other personal information. And this type of information that can easily get someone killed, as happened to Amy Boyer, whose shooter purchased her social security number from the DocuSearch site. Amazing. Another complication for law enforcement is the presence of services that provide anonymous communications over the internet. To be sure, anonymity provides important benefits, including protecting the privacy of internet users. Unfortunately, cyberstalkers and other cyber criminals can exploit the anonymity available on the internet to avoid accountability for their conduct. One allows individuals to create a free electronic mailbox through a website. This is anonymous services on the internet. They come in one of 2 forms. While most entities that provide this service request identifying information from users, these services almost never authenticate or confirm this information, and payment for these services is typically made in advance through the use of a money order or other non-traceable form of payment. And as long as payment is received in advance by the ISP, the service is provided to the unknown account holder. The other involves mail service that purposely strip identifying information and transport headers from electronic mail. By forwarding mails through several of these services serially, a stalker can nearly perfectly anonymize the message. Both of these services make it relatively simple to send anonymous communications while making it difficult for victims, providers, and law enforcement to identify the person or persons responsible for transmitting, harassing, or threatening communication over the internet. So the JDC studio time is 8:25, friends. We're coming up on a hard break here. When we come back, we're going to tie the last half hour to the situations that is happening with us here on Team P.A.W.S, right here on the Team P.A.W.S radio show. Hope you are getting a lot out of this show, and I hope that you realize that this is a serious show. We're not holding anything back here. A lot of people will be exposed. Some will be named, and some will be not. And this is the final segment of our show for tonight. Next week, we'll be talking about a very serious issue that a lot of people who own blogs, especially cyberstalkers, have, and it's called libel. And they better be very cautious about it, because one of the things that a cyberstalker will do, as we mentioned earlier in the program, is write false articles, bogus articles that have no credibility, that are meant merely to insult and to defame the individual victim or group of people in this case. And they don't realize that there is an actual law called libel. It's worse than plagiarism. Okay? If you get accused of libel, friends, you're in more trouble than you would if you plagiarized a book of some sort, or for that matter, anything that if you were accused of plagiarism. I mean, plagiarism may have some minor effects, but when you talk about libel is a bogus, a written bogus article, and by bogus I mean there's no credibility to it, because the person who wrote the article flat out just spoke his heart, didn't consent with anybody, didn't cite anything, getting a bunch of stuff from somewhere other than the truth. And really, when you're writing a blog, or you own a blog, or you own a website, your main thing is to the truth. And if you can't even have that, then you don't deserve to have a website, you don't deserve to have a blog, and sure as heck you don't deserve to be on the internet. Again, I look at the internet as a privilege, okay? And it's ridiculous how we have to continually defend our credibility every time we're on the internet or out in the world, our accountability, and so on and so forth. And there are a lot of people out there who probably are guilty. I'm probably guilty on things too. But I know for a fact that I have stood up to when I was wrong, took my lumps, took my punishments. Fortunately, there was no jail time for me. I've never been to jail, never been accused of anything less than, Okay? So, nothing on the major scale for me. But there are a lot of people out there who are now breaking the law, who think they're not breaking the law. There are people who are siding with them. And unfortunately, the sad part of all this is that the more and more people actually who side with the cyberstalker, the harder it is for any credibility whatsoever to be established. Because now you're just going based on what the cyberstalker says. And the problem we have is that we are not questioning the cyberstalker as to where they're getting their information from, number one. And number two, why in the heck do you believe that is the truthful information about the said person you're victimizing, huh? There's two hard questions for you, and I challenge any airhead out there basically to answer those questions. And if you can't answer those questions, then we know you're a stalker, because obviously you're writing bogus articles for the sake of trying to be heard. You're getting people to try to believe what you say. Again, control. And they're doing it that way. And the whole thing of cyberstalking, friends, is mind manipulation. And in this last half hour, we're going to talk about how Team P.A.W.S, how we are affected. My crew of Team P.A.W.S consists of myself and 7 individuals. myself and 6, so that's a total of 7. We have a Facebook group page that is a secret group, and of course I've exposed it, so it's not so secret, but we keep the riffraff out. Our group is dedicated to the sharing and informing others about web stalkers, and is also in preventing cyber crimes from happening, which means we are documenting everything that the so-called cyberstalkers themselves dare to put on against individuals. And we've been the target of that particular thing. As with anybody who stands up to cyberbullying and cyberstalking, you know you're going to get pretty much challenged and threatened every day of your life. And we are experiencing that as we speak. And as I am doing this show, I guarantee you, when this show goes out there into the archives, it's going to be bounced around by many various groups, many individuals who are probably themselves the actual stalkers who deny and say, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything wrong. Yeah, you are. Look, I totally respect people who will disagree with what I've got to say, but I'm telling you, what I've said in the last 2.5 hours has made absolute sense because, remember, friends, I quoted it from the articles, gave it citations. These are real articles that have happened, real people that have gone to jail or have done community service, have their internet privileges taken away. Whatever the case is, we gave you that because we feel it's important for you to understand that there is real crimes of cyberstalking happening out there. And to those who want to do the crime, this is also a learning lesson for you. This is your chance to actually claim your freedom. I think a lot of cyberstalkers do not value their freedom. And I say that because they seem to think that they could say whatever the heck they want to say against anybody and think that they're right 100% of the time. Now, here's the thing that I disagree with. If you're right, then back it up with facts. Okay? If you could back up what you say with facts, then you're credible. You're truthful. You're honest. But if you're saying a bunch of stuff out there, insulting a corporation or a business or an individual like myself or a group like Team P.A.W.S, or somebody else of that matter who you hate because they're more successful than you, and you're jealous of this whole thing, then you are a stalker. You are a cyber stalker. Because you cannot, for the life of God, back your stuff up with facts. And you've got no balls to back it up with. When somebody challenges you back, you stalkers out there, and those who are listening to it, you should be able to come back and say, okay, you've challenged me to present some facts that are true about you. Well, and they just beat around the bush. Friends, that should be your indication to know that you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have all of this facts together. Now, a lot of people say, well, Jason, you don't have your facts together. You're just making up a bunch of baseless stuff. Baseless? I don't think so. Okay? First of all, I'm not baseless. Okay? If I'm citing the articles, if I'm citing the broadcasts and where to go for this information, then I'm backing up what I'm saying with the facts. Okay? Case closed, end of story. You can't debate me on that. You can give your opinion on it, but unless you come up with something that will overtake what I said as far as with the facts backing up on it, you're not going to win. You're not going to win the argument, and you sure as heck are not going to win the war, the battle, or whatever you want to decide to do. And I have no problem debating anybody who wants to challenge me on those, because I can go right to the website and say, here it is, plain and simple. I read it to you, verbatim, word for word, by the author, no plagiarism. Okay? And that's what we're dealing with here, friends. We're dealing with one individual who's writing a bunch of bogus articles, photoshopping our pictures, stealing our videos, okay? And it all has something to do with a corporation that basically he got thrown off of and he don't like very much. And in the meantime, those who actually sided with the person who is really getting victimized here, okay, and us too, we're getting victimized. I'm not naming any names right now, but I will name names later on down the line because you all know who you are, okay? This cyberstalker and his insane cohorts who side with him. There's only 2 individuals out there, and I really do feel sorry for these individuals, but I have no mercy whether or not they go to jail or not. I have no respect for them whatsoever. No respect. Why? Because sure as heck, they have not given me respect. And yet they whine and complain, stating, oh, well, Jason keeps attacking me and stalking me, harassing me. Oh, look, I'm telling you guys right now, as I have mentioned before on all the other videos and all the other shows and podcasts that you have listened to, you've stalked me for 2.5 years, and I'm tired of it. I am sick and tired of your vicious attacks against me, my fiance, my friends who work with me on the Queens New Yorker, the Jason Decanio show, Team P.A.W.S, and anything else that I have a venue for. And you continually say the attacks won't stop. And you think it's okay to attack us. And then you say it's not all right for us to come back and attack you. You think it gets... Look, that is totally 100% wrong. And we have the facts to back it up. Now on Team P.A.W.S, for those who actually have access to the Facebook group page of the 7 members, you all see what I've been posting for over 2 years possible. Okay? Maybe even more. All right? This individual who keeps commenting, okay, you'll see that he's using fake names, which is what we talked about. Fake names mainly from movies, characters from the Marvel comics. He even insulted the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and from the movie Pete's Dragon also as well. And now you're probably saying to yourself, Jason, you could be doing something else other than fighting this guy. And I'm like, look, I fight for my crew, my people, okay? You attack me, you attack my crew, you're going to get your butt handed to you every time. And I'm telling you, I only attack with the truth. That's right. The truth about your butt is going to be exposed. Now, again, I've challenged my cyberstalker numerous times to debate me because he says you don't have any facts, you're baseless, you have no proof whatsoever. Okay? Let me read to you some of the disgusting things that this guy does because he has no life. And again, some of these stalkers, they have no life but sitting in front of a computer 24 hours they sit in the front of their computer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, don't have a job, don't have anything going for them, and don't ever get out of the house. Okay? I am not like that, friends. Okay? I may sit in front of my computer and play games, but not 24 hours a day. I do go to sleep. I do get up and go and eat and do other things and visit with people and have a life outside of the internet world, okay? But that does not make me an internet hog, okay? Not when you stay in your place for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never go out. And you choose not to go out because it's your choice. Again, these are the choices that people make, friends. And again, hey, you know, if you want to choose that kind of life, go right ahead. That's your decision. But I'll tell you what, it's probably the poorest thing you could ever do, considering the fact that if you have good parents that raised you the right way, you probably are now insulting your parents for the way that they brought you up. Anyways, here's some comments that he's made, and of course, I'll tell you who the fictitious name was, and so on and so forth. He uses Corporal Stinky Pete. He says, Jason, in response to your claim about your vicious comments, replies on your Queens New Yorker video of, quote, of what I said, I have 100% proof every time you use keywords and then comment on your site. You're the only one who has access to it. Wrong again. So now he's claiming that I'm wrong. Coming from a person that is not eBay is a joke, an outsider like myself, I have perfect access to this site just like everyone else. You may not, however, because he said in the past he blocked your address, so you have to use hide my ass to view the website. An outsider like me does not have to. Go ahead, try accessing the site from the Oviedo library or have a friend access it from their computer. You will see it's public and open to everyone. Wrong again, fool. I pity the fool. So, of course, he's already impersonating Mr. T. Then, that was 19 minutes ago from it, but then 7 hours before that, he says, using partial Marshall. Says, Jason, good sir, could you kindly put your next show you are doing today on the Good News Channel so we can all hear it loud and clear? Unfortunately, Ustream has been acting funny lately, and I don't want to miss your show. Can you at least fulfill that request, dear Jason? So I wrote back in response. I said, where I choose to put my show is my decision. Any request coming from the Insane Clown Posse will be denied, like they are denied access to anything I do. Sorry, bro, the Oviedo Library I will not use anyways to access your site. They are too slow. My supercomputer can directly access your site under VPN, and that's all I need to gather y'all the crap you write. Oh, the poet of the feces world. Stop impersonating Mr. T. You are a fool, and no one should pity your sorry butt. Be a man and stand up for yourself, whiny little poop boy. Good Lord, is what I put back. Yesterday at 7:10, he uses partial Marshall, says, Jason, give it a rest, man. Stop accusing everyone on this message board that they are eBay's a joke. They are not. You only know it's him who comments with his name under and photo next to his comment. How hard is that to understand? Just because these usernames either A, side with him on issues, or B, sound like him when they are typing out their comments, doesn't automatically make it eBay's a joke commenting. You have zero, and I mean zero proof of said claims. You're like a little kid that has to be told over 1,000 times what the dealio, as you put it, is. Enough, Jason. There are other people out there that don't like you, that refuse to come forward making to your demands in fears of getting attacked, harassed, and bullied by people like you. Just get used to it. There are other people out there besides eBay's a joke that don't appreciate you. End of story. And I said back in response, what's the dealio? I heard your uninvented podcast. You just fueled the fire, poop boy. Might want to listen in on tomorrow's new show. It's all about cyberstalkers like yourself. And the facts even you can't run from that will ensure your convictions. I have 100% proof every time you use keywords and then comment on your site. You're the only one who has access to it. Again, 'tis true, 'tis true. The joke's on you and the laughter is sliding off your face as the ace trumps the joker. Now, who am I referring to? The guy who claims to be eBay is a joke. You see, friends, we are dealing with an imbecile here. We won't reveal his name, but you know who he is, and he knows who he is. Okay? He got kicked off of eBay for using stealth accounts. And he also he stole from a top-rated seller who basically was trying to do an honest day's work with an honest brick-and-mortar store. Now, as the story unfolds, the stalker bids on the top-rated seller's merchandise, but does not pay. And it goes on for who knows how long. So, what does the top-rated seller do? He files a complaint with eBay, trust and safety. He goes there, knows who the guy is, makes the complaint. And the guy, the stalker's already been kicked off of eBay and PayPal long before he even did this, because he goes back on illegally with stealth accounts. Now the stalker, eBay's a joke is saying, well, you can't claim, you can't prove that I stole from you, top-rated seller. Yeah, he can. He did. Okay. And you're pissed off at the fact that he went as far as to put you on the news, Mr. eBay is a joke, okay? Because you wear a mask. And then when I had the top-rated seller on my show back 2 years ago on April 24, 2013, to talk about the situation, eBay is a Joke had my first Ustream channel shut down completely on account of he didn't like what was being said about him, not even coming from me. And I get an email, threatening email saying, take my stuff down or face possible exposure. It's a flat-out threat, Mr. eBay is a Joke, and you said it. I have the emails to prove it. You can't get away from it. And if you want to come on here and challenge me to say you never sent it, I'm going to shove it right back in your face, right with it, word for word. So that's how this whole thing started, friends. And the story has been ongoing ever since. Okay? And this is what I deal with on a daily basis. I cannot tell you how many threatening emails that I get from this guy. Not from my main email account, but from my Gmail account with notifications because of YouTube. Okay? I have 3 channels on YouTube right now that are partner verified. The Queens New Yorker, the Jason Decanio channel, and Panda's Book Picks. Those are the only 3 channels that I operate under. But yet, Mr. eBay is a Joke claims that I have 25 channels all relating and attacking him. And that I falsely up the views and the likes and this, that, and the other thing, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, dude, 'tis you who have the problem with me, buddy. And you refuse to do anything about what I have pretty much told the truth to. You have yet to come forward on any challenges and speak your heart out. I'll let eBay is a Joke talk, but I guarantee you he's not getting off easy on anything. If he thinks that he's going to come on this show and make a mockery of me, he's got another thing coming, because if he don't want to answer my questions with credible facts, then he don't deserve to come on at all, period. Okay? And if he's listening out there, give me your name and phone number. But I guarantee you, at the top of the show, I said this before, but if you talk to me one-on-one, you blow any chances of ever suing me in the court of law. Why? Because if the judge asks if you had contact with me and you say yes, everything gets thrown out. So, I can understand why you don't want to face me, buddy. I can understand why. And I'm not going to go on your show either and spill my guts out to you, because then if the judge asks me that I contacted you, they'll just say, hey, you should have just ignored him. Well, a guy like yourself, friends, eBay is a Joke, you can't ignore him, okay? He is very hard to ignore, because if you ignore him, he knows exactly that you're ignoring him, and he'll come up with more bogus articles to get you out of the woodworks. That's all he wants to do, is control your life. While we are telling eBay is a Joke, you can continue to try to control our lives, but we are going to fight you fair and square, whether you try to hit below the belt or not. It's really simple. And these are not demands, Mr. eBay is a Joke. These are true facts that you need to get through your thick skull. Yeah, and you have it, and that's what he has. He has a thick skull. Why? Because he refuses to listen to the attacks. And the other attacks, whatever you want to call them. But these are truthful attacks, okay? You accuse me of mail fraud. You accuse me of being a former Uber driver. To this day, you still cannot claim any one of these 2 baseless allegations, Mr. Jokester. To this day, you still have not come up with any credible evidence whatsoever. Therefore, you are a liar. Therefore, you are a defamer. And, mind you, your credibility sucks. But if you want to keep writing bogus articles, we'll talk about libel next week. Because that right there could put you away a lot longer than for any other things that you have done. Okay? Friends, I'm going to be out of time pretty soon. I only have 7 minutes to go. Like I said, this show is not all dedicated to Mr. eBay is a Joke. But we will use the last half hour of this show to get you going, to let you know what's going on, what he's been saying and doing. And I want you to write some more crap about me, Mr. Jokester. I want you to continue to say that I'm harassing and bullying you. I want you to keep denying the fact that you are the cyberstalker. You've always been the cyberstalker since day one. And since you made your lousy threats to me, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going away. I'm not bowing down to you. And that's the bottom line because Jason Decanio said so. And on that happy note, friends, we will see you next week. I'm out of here. Have a good week. And remember, be honest, be real, keep it simple, stupid, and always tell the truth no matter how bad it hurts, because being truthful is what makes you the man or woman that you've grown up to be. We'll see you the next time right here on the Team P.A.W.S radio show. Balls to WJDC Studios, I'm Jason Decanio. Have a great night. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.